Hi, on this video we will see how to create the user's roles panel in order to attach a user to a role or detach him from a role. So let's go ahead and see how to do it. So the first thing I will do here is to add a new div. So let's copy it from the notepad and paste it below the previous div. So on the div's body I will add here something called the checkbox list. This checkbox I'm going to give it the ID of check list roles, okay? And I will go to the design and attach it to a new SQL data source, SQL checklist roles. Then press on OK and choose the default data connection. So let's simply choose the ASP NET roles table and choose both fields and next and finish. Then choose the name as the data to display and press on OK. Now let's save all and let's click on any user here. And you can easily tell that this list is so close to the borderline, and in addition to that the text here is very close to the checkbox. So let's see how to handle both problems. So let's go to the source and I will add here a style equals margin left equals to 10 pixels. And I will add a style here, any input with the type equals checkbox will have the following style: margin equals 4 pixels, and this includes the right margin, of course. So let's refresh our browser. Okay, now looks fine. So now let's see how to make the roles which the user belongs to checked by default when the page loads. So in the code behind page, and here under if not is post back, I will type dem db as new application db context, and dem user roles equals db.users.single, I want a single user, function u where u.id equals user ID. So remember we have already defined user ID here, dot roles. So this will return all the roles the user is belonging to. Then what will happen after that? For each role in user roles, do the following. So I will type here checklist roles dot items dot find by value, which value? The role dot role ID, and turn its selected value to true. In other words, select the item which has a value typical to the role ID value. So let's rebuild our project. Okay, let's refresh our page. And you will definitely get an error here, as you have invoked the items inside the checklist roles maybe before the checklist roles has been rendered to the page. So the only solution for such a problem is to data bind the checklist roles before the for each loop in order to make sure that the loop will read the items. So let's rebuild again. Okay, let's refresh. Okay, now everything works fine. So let's test another user, for example this one. So we have just done with the first step. The second step is to allow the admin to check the roles that the user should belong to and click the save button, so the user's role will get updated. So I will go here and copy the button along with its panel, with its confirmation panel, and paste them here. Okay, Control K, Control D. So this is the button and this is the panel. The panel has a visibility set to false by default, and if you save all and refresh your page, okay, so the save button is rendered properly. Okay, now let's go to our code here and go to the code behind page and select the button save roles, which action, the click action. Dem user ID as string equals request.queryString ID. Okay, And whenever the situation demands assigning a role to a user or remove this assignment, I will prefer to work with the open context instead of the application DB context. So I will have to import, as usual, Microsoft.ASP.NET.identity, and also my imports Microsoft.ASP.NET.identity.owen. And after I have defined the user ID, I will define here something called the manager, as usual also, equals context dot get owen context dot get users manager of application users manager. Okay, so our plan now is as following. I will detach the user from all the roles he is already assigned to, and then make a loop for each checkbox in the list to see if it is checked. Then we will assign the role the checkbox refer to the user. So let's see now how to do it. I will dim user roles equal manager dot get roles for that user, for user ID. So for each role in user roles, I will say manager dot remove from role the user ID, and the role name is role. Okay, so as you saw, it's a very easy and useful function, and this is why I prefer to use the owen context in such a situation. So after I have detached the user from all the roles, I will create another loop to assign the checked roles in the list to the current user. So for each item as list item in check list roles dot items, so if item dot selected, then what will happen? Manager dot add to role the user ID and the role. So the role here is the item dot text, not the item dot value, by the way, because this function accepts the role name, not the role ID. And there is only last step here to do, which is to show this panel confirm role save. So panel confirm role save dot visible equals true. Now let's rebuild our solution. Let's go to our page and refresh it. Now let's make this user staff instead of admin and click on save. Okay, the panel appears. Let's go to the user manager. Okay, Hazem has become staff only. So everything is working as expected, except one thing. If you click on save here, this panel will appear. However, if you do something here and you click on save changes, this panel will appear and this panel will maintain appear. And if you click on something here, for example, and click on save, this panel also will maintain appearing on the screen. And the reason behind this phenomena is that for each button got clicked on the page, ASP.NET saves the status for each server control inside the page before it sends the page to the server inside something called the view state. And when the page returns back from the server, it reads the view state for each control to maintain the same status as before sending. So to prevent the status of a control from being saved before the button sends the form to the server, set the enable view state property for that particular control to false. So let's go to the edit user and let's add a property here called enable view state and set its value to false. And similarly, we will do the same thing here for the confirmation panel by setting the enable view state to false. Okay, now let's save all. Let's refresh our page here. So when the user now click on the save button, okay, this message will appear here. If he click on the save changes, this message will disappear from here and a message will appear here. So it's working properly. However, there is still another issue here. So for example, if you delete, let's first refresh our page. For example, if you delete the last name here and without clicking on the save change, then you click on the save here on the save button here, the save button will not commit your action here. It will give you an error here for that field. And the reason behind such a problem is that by default, when you click any button inside the page, the button will send the whole page as one form, and hence each validator inside the page will start doing its work by checking its adjacent control value. In order to overcome this problem in our example, we will assign a validation group name to the user's profiles validator and the first Save It Changes button, whereas assigning a different validation group to the second Save button, or even leave it without belong to any validation group. So let's go here and let's open the account folder, user profile, and let's go to the first validator and add a validation group property and set its value to, for example, user profile. Okay. Now let's copy this value and property to all the other validators. So there is 3 only here, and this is not enough, as you have to go here inside this page and inside the button save profile you add also the validation group equals user profile, and then when you click on the save all, then refresh our page and then erase this field and you click here, this will not give you a validator here. It will only verify that your account has been saved. And however, if you click on the Save It Changes here, this time the validator will work, because the validation group for this button is similar to the validation group for all the validators here. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, please press like.